Good morning. Let's take a look at yesterday, as much of it as I could have done. Yesterday had a family meal, which was very successful. Great to see everybody. Nieces from Australia, sister from Australia. Great stuff. And my 16-year-old nephew has raided my vinyl collection. Now he's got a record player, and I've introduced him to some proper music from the 1990s because I was a big fan of John Peel. So I've got impeccable taste in music. But let's get on to the football. Green screens from yesterday, and we've got a little factor to think about. That is the weather. We were a tad unlucky with Groningen yesterday, but I'll come to that. Auxerre and Lyon. Well, 0-0 was on the cards for both of these two. Auxerre so poor. Lyon's wins away have been 0-1, just barely scraping over the line. So this is my preferred method of ensuring liability is low with a very good return. Laying at 1.09 and 1.06. You can place the lays in early, leave the match alone. You know your maximum liability. And if you wanted to decrease that further, you just half the stakes. You'll have a £2 liability for a 25 quid profit. And in the background, you're hearing Ronnie Barker, my brother's dog. He was not too happy with that liability, as you can hear. Leipzig and Werder Bremen. A simple matter of laying the draw here. But we did get a bit of a shock with a 1-1 disallowed. But Leipzig making it 2-0. That's your confirmed exit from a lay the draw. 2-0 lead, you're guaranteed near 100% return. Leipzig, exceptional home record, now 5 wins out of 5. Betis and Girona. Betis red card late on, scuppered our plans to make 42 quid. But the liability, if you're accepting of this liability and laying the liability on the insurance, then take that and hope for that. The alternative is to do what Michael Pigeon says and eat your greens. Get out at the 1-1. But the +1 was a little bit poor in that particular market. Groningen and Pek Zwolle. We were very unlucky here. 81st minute, it was delayed for snow. And, of course, all momentum completely stuffed. Groningen 1-1. Let's see when the 1-1 occurred, because that could have been, again, like Michael says, the ideal time to eat your greens. When you've gone match odds, an equaliser before half-time is an excellent cash-out opportunity because the market is now firmly of a mind that the favourites can get the job done. We had some interesting player names yesterday for Zwolle. We've got Garcia McNulty, who doesn't know whether he's Scottish or Spanish. And we've got Mr. Floor Anus. So fantastic stuff from Mr. Floor Anus, who nearly scuppered our plans. You could have got involved again here if you were favouring Groningen, and really, stats-wise, you should have been favouring Groningen throughout. Good finishing, you'll have to say, from Pek Zwolle, given the relatively poor XG, 2.52, delivering, but should have delivered that third goal. The problem we had yesterday was with that delay. 81st minute delay, and that just knocks the stuffing out. See, they got the goal eventually, but who's to say if the match had continued? Groningen's superior stats should have got them over the line. This is second half, by the way. The expectation for 2 goals, second half. So weather, an important factor, and it's something I've had a word with AI about, because AI has been obsessed with weather when he's doing my apps. And I've told him, above all else, it's not a major factor, but you'll be alerted to this on something like Soccer 24 when the weather is extreme. Toulouse and Angers, was this a loss? Was it? No, we covered that one. I also got you Leeds and Aston Villa yesterday, but I was telling you it without looking at the screen. I was on a tablet, so I couldn't place the plays myself. I sincerely hope you did. Forever and a day, I talk about Aston Villa's 2-goal habit away from home. It's something Unai Emery seems to have instilled within them. I would say primarily from a European focus. You can score 2 goals away in a European fixture, which he's expert at, old Dick Emery. And you can pay the price against Leeds. Leeds took the lead. Aston Villa equalised. That's your first cash out. Aston Villa 1-2. That's your win. And you can see the gap in quality eventually. Sondersky and Milan, one of our old reliables, scored first, so no great interest, I think. I'm not sure if I would lay the draw late on. I'm after Sondersky scoring first. That's what I'm after. I'm not after taking on a draw. They are reliable because they come from behind, like Bodo Glimt did the day before, and tend to oblige for us. Mr. Billing getting red carded late on, and Camilli a late penalty. Arguably, I know we're after timing here greatly, but a 106, 109 for an old reliable would have picked that up. One thing to remind you as well, it's up to you if you play derbies or not. I don't, because the old traditional form lines getting thrown out the window trope is very, very accurate. Who would have predicted such a comprehensive win for the Arsenal? It was all down to Eredivisie Eze. That's more like the kind of striker you want to sign, not Federico Chiesa. I mean, I'm still speechless, Arnie Slot. And Alexander Isak, greed has overcome talent in the last few weeks, hasn't it? The Sheffield derby again. Who could have predicted that? Well, looking at the new Chris Wilder, I think it is, returning, he has got a tune out of Sheffield United. We had another derby, and that was in Italy, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and this is another post-international pre-Champions League. Very readable yesterday, I would say. Lazio expected to beat Lecce, keeping clean sheets as well. And Roma, this is more comprehensive than I expected. I was expecting Roma to limp over the line with the 0-1. Cremonese did not score first, which would have been the primary angle there. But you can see with derbies, it's very difficult to trust Inter Milan, particularly with this Champions League malaise. Are they going to stick or twist? Antonio Conte would have been busting a blood vessel, of course, losing to his near rivals. They share the same stadium. When did the goal occur? And if you were insistent on being with Inter Milan, when would you have got involved? Let's just wait for this to come up. 54th minute goal for Christian Pulisic. And Çalhanoğlu missing a penalty. What an absolute tool. Put him on our Clowns of the Year board. Professional footballer missing a penalty. It's one of my bugbears, that. You're being paid 6 figures a week, for God's sake. All you do, instead of highlighting your hair and getting a new tattoo, why don't you practice taking penalties? It's not difficult. Or get a real job. You'll see how difficult it is. I would be insistent on doing penalty practice until the cows come home if I was on 6 figures a week. But Çalhanoğlu, you absolute So let's have a look at Monday. And Ronnie Barker is behaving himself, thankfully. Let's have a look at today's trading angles, and we can see the red tide has gone from Liverpool to Manchester, which we'll get to. What I've done for you today in these lower tiers is I've got research from AI. I'm not going to be doing research in these lower tier matches. So let's get AI to do these lower tiers. Ronnie agrees with me, and I've done some XG as well. So let's have a quick look at what the market says, or what AI says about Randers and Odense. Well, firstly, I'll disagree. This is not highly anticipated by by any stretch of the imagination, unless you're a Randers and Odense fan. Let's say, likely to be a tight affair. Randers, known for their strong defensive organisation and counter-attacking prowess, will aim to stifle OB's aggressive gegen-pressing style under new manager Alexander Zorniger. So we've got a new manager element here, which can throw a spanner into the works. Key stats and trends. OB Odense average 1.73 goals scored a game. So you fit the team with the league. The league has a reputation for over 2.5 goals. That, I think, from a neutral perspective, you should be looking at today if you're into playing over 2.5 goals. It's not yet got me. For me, it's still a gamble. You're hoping for a goal. So for me, a delay to 20 minutes. I'll work it out eventually. I think we'll eventually get an angle for 2.5 goals. Match result, double chance, Randers FC or the draw. Randers has home advantage, more settled tactical identity, focusing on defensive structure. And OB's defensive vulnerabilities are significant, but they have the new manager, which AI did pick up, but it hasn't used that information to suggest that there might be a shock result. Over 2.5 goals fits in with the league. Okay. I think that would be a good idea. Be cautious of the first 20 or 30 minutes are cagey due to post-break rustiness. Well, I don't think that. Well, yes, it's picked that up. I have asked AI to check prior week's matches and post-week matches to suggest if there's going to be any weakness, and the international break may not really refer to this kind of a league. So I would go neutral here, over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. Sounds about right for this kind of a league, doesn't it? Changing fortunes at Manchester United, 4 consecutive home wins. A couple of 2-2s recently. They do score and concede in 8 matches this season, hence the need for that second goal. More consistency now for Manchester United. That's not a word you would have associated with Man United earlier on in the season. I don't think Everton have the ammunition unless Jack Grealish has an exceptional game. What David Moyes will be doing will be to try to stifle Manchester United, but there is consistency. The last 3 teams to beat Everton were Champions League sides. Are Manchester United arguably in that category, even though they're not in Europe? Post-international break is going to affect both teams as well. And just be careful for those, if there's any Scottish or Irish players in the teams, their over-emotional World Cup matches could affect them today, and they might be on the bench. Reims against Montpellier. Again, this is one for me to get an AI on for you. Reims against Montpellier. I'll try to do more of these reports for you and have them in an AI blog for you. So let's go immediately to the stats and trends. Don't forget, this is English. This is French League 2. So be careful when you're heading down. Montpellier holds a stronger league position, 4th against 6th, but it's a top 6 clash. So let's be honest. And I think you're splitting hairs, really, if you're saying, 5 consecutive wins, but win, loss, win, draw, draw is not too shabby for Montpellier, is it? Better recent form. Reims has a higher average goal scored, 1.86. But we'll get to that. We'll get to the XGs. Montpellier 1.21. Montpellier exhibits a notable higher average for total corners. We don't need that from a trading perspective. You do if you're going spread betting. International break, yes, but not necessarily for French League 2. Trading insights, let's go immediately there. That's what you're here for. Draw or Montpellier wins. So they're going for the away match, the away result. Montpellier's current momentum and strong away defence makes them a formidable opponent despite playing away. Under 2.5 goals, so that should have you on the back foot a little, and that's because of the XG, which we'll get to. Both teams to score, no. So that's interesting as well. It does suggest first team to score, you might not have a trading angle. And we've got injuries, etc. We've got the positives and negatives as well. So I hope you find these very useful, particularly in leagues I don't want to research. So this is a good way for me to get you something. Torino and Como. Well, this is going to be a battle of the defences. Como have not conceded that second goal, I think, all season. Only lost the one match. Torino, at their very best, can stifle the life out of you. Just a subtle nod towards Cesc Fabregas's Como. They just look a lot sturdier. But Torino are the kind of a side who can just bore the life out of you. Sassuolo are actually unbeaten, I think, in 3 away, but they do struggle for consistency at home. And as traders, we don't want inconsistency. Pisa, only the 1 win came in the last match, but they have been competitive away against big guns like Napoli, scoring 2 goals, albeit in defeat. So we could see Pisa ignite here today, unless they have a specific tactic against the big guns. Again, lower tier, Serie B, Sampdoria, Juve, Stabia, Sampdoria. Oh, David Platt will not be happy, an ex-player. Serie B, highest confidence trading angle identifies to lay Sampdoria at current odds, or alternatively back Juve, Stabia, draw in play. So I will adapt that. AI suggests if Sampdoria score first, they could be gettable. Sampdoria 20th. Oh dear, having a hell of a season. Key trends. League position is 20th. That's awful, isn't it? Juve Stabia 7th. A little bit better. 2 losses in 11 matches. 4 wins, 2 draws, 5 draws, 2 losses in 11. That's a lot better, isn't it, for Juve Stabia? Key trends. Likely to be unders in Serie B. And you'll see that if you go to odds checker, which I might just show you in a sec. Both teams to score. No, these are confidence plays, okay? Low, medium, or high. What I'll do when I release these AIs is ensure that there's a guide to go with it. With the time remaining, let's have a look at the XG analysis, which I think will be valid today because these lower tier sites don't really have any international concerns. I hope you like this layout. It's not my ideal layout. I would prefer the layout to be akin to what I see on the actual app. But you can see expected goals per game. 1.05 for Randers. A little lightweight. Odense could threaten that second goal. But the problem with Odense, they could give Randers something to think about. Because they do give opponents enough rope to hang Odense. 2.4 expected goals against is awful. But we've got a home side who can't really exploit that. So, for me, OB Odense might just outscore Randers today, particularly with the XG pushing towards or nearly equated. The XG in defence for Randers equated with the XG in offence for Odense. So that kind of marries together. That doesn't marry together, does it? Really not aiming for that second goal, not creating enough chances for that second, but with an opponent who could give them a shot. Manchester United's XG is looking good, but the problem is they always need that second goal. Look at this. 1.49 expected goals against is giving opponents enough chances to at least score 1 and knock on the door of 2. But Manchester United's expected goals in offence is superb, 1.65. That's giving you a confident prediction that they do have 2 goals in the locker. They have been creating exceptional chances, haven't they? Expected goals against, well, Everton is even Stevens, isn't it? That's kind of David Moyes down to a T. Not really giving much away. But I think with us pushing towards 1.5, Manchester United could simply outscore Everton today on the XG. I'm expecting tight XGs for Torino Como. And indeed, that's what we've got. Look at the defences. Cesc Fabregas is learning from Mikel Arteta, another Arsenal man. Very, very tight defensively. Very difficult for a team to score 2 goals against them. And indeed, it looks difficult for Torino to juggle that second goal or to conjure up that second goal. Como, you'd expect them to score at least a goal today. But again, this is the reputation that Torino have. They can shut up shop. So, arguably for me, I would lay over 0.5 goals at the start of the match. It's the same language as saying back 0-0. Highly likely I will be seeing you later on, but I do have to help my father out later on. Expect me on Telegram, members. Have a great day. This has got to be below 20 minutes. just about got there. Have a great day.